Thank you so much for joining to the OSPOCon track. For me, it was difficult to get here. I went up and down. So already you made great efforts for making it through here. So thank you so much. I'm here also to welcome you to the first session of this track. We have great speakers, panelists, and activities. Not just presentations, but also First of a Feather and roundtable discussions. So I encourage you to take a look at the OSPOCon track schedule. We will be having these activities from today, tomorrow, and also on Wednesday. So great open source leaders working at different organizations coming all the way from corporations, enterprises, academia, governments. So really encourage you to take a look to what is planned for these 3 days at Open Source Summit Europe. So today's session is about our latest study that the TODO group community has done in collaboration with Linux Foundation Research. We are also really grateful from our sponsors, the Cloud Native Foundation, FOSS IT, and the Finance Foundation. And of course, our survey distribution partners, Chaos, Curious, GitHub, Inner Source Commons, OpenSSF, and Open Source Initiative. So for those that haven't heard about this study before, this is the 8th edition. So we have been doing this since 2018, and we have been saying over the past years how the role of OSPOs and the state of OSPOs has been evolving, and the relationship and the role that had in enterprises and in other organizations in terms of open source management. So today I would like to share with you just small hints on what we have discovered in this edition. But before starting, I think it's worth it to give an update on the evolution of the OSPO definition, because, well, OSPOs have been there for the last decades. And the way that OSPOs were formed in the past and the reasons why for being formed has been changed a lot. And I will go even further. Depending on the organizations the OSPO is landing, the objectives and the mission will be different. This year especially, we have seen a lot of emphasis on specific domains around security, around AI, around digital transformation for those companies that are not traditional software companies. And there are many other areas where the OSPOs are cross-skilling and cross-specializing. How many of you are part of the OSPO in this room? Just raise your hand. Okay, most of you. So I will be really quick. But for those who are not part of the OSPO or would like to learn more about what is the OSPO, it's important to notice that there is a lot of different definitions, and in the TODO group we like to stick to this one, that is any function responsible of the strategic and operational management of open source. So OSPO is not just a function with a formal reporting. It can be also virtual. And in this survey, we've also, when asking people and organizations that had an OSPO or didn't have an OSPO, we have been asking either if their OSPO was informal, virtual, or physical. Because we understand that it's more about the people and the staff dedicated to managing open source management and operations rather than the physical entity itself. Because also, for instance, in Europe, there are a lot of small, medium organizations where the physical model cannot very fit well, and it's also valid to have an OSPO virtual. So, aside this disclaimer that I wanted to make sure before jumping into the results, As I was saying, we're seeing that OSPOs are cross-skilling. They're becoming more experts in different domains. When you're asking someone that is working in the OSPO, you might have different personas. So OSPOs more focused on security, more specialized in security. Others are more focused on driving innovation in the organization, driving open source culture in the organizations. Their motivations, even the way they talk are going to be different. And that depends, this is basically because different OSPO personas support different organizational priorities. So the first step is to understand where is the OSPO for, what is the mission of the OSPO for the organization, and what was the organization want to achieve with the OSPO. So in this survey, we ask a basic question: how well OSPOs are doing in the different strategic areas that organizations are looking right now. How effective, what is the impact on the OSPO in terms of security and regulations? What is the impact on the OSPO in terms of technology, innovation, readiness? How well OSPOs are doing in engineering excellence? And how well are doing in terms of industry influence. So now you see these areas, and perhaps your OSPO is not focusing on all of that. And that is fine, because again, this is depending on the organization's priorities. So because this survey is a worldwide OSPO, state of the OSPO, we wanted to focus on these 4 areas. The first one tells us really interesting data. Because the last year, we conducted a survey also asking if the OSPO were taking decisions in security, and what kind of decision were they taking? Like, were they part of the decision-making process? Were they providing support to security teams? So we saw this year that similar percentages remained. 92% of OSPOs are actively involved in open source security, and 42% are acting as decision makers and providing advisory support, the 55%. And then this year, we also asked, like, okay, and what is the impact? Are you seeing any difference? And 88% of the organizations that had an OSPO said that it improved the software quality and security, and that was an outcome of coming from the OSPO, which was an interesting insight to take also. Also, in terms of technology readiness, we cannot talk about technology readiness without talking about AI and machine learning frameworks, systems, and models, of course. So we saw that 66% of the respondents reported readiness for emerging technologies. That includes other technologies aside of generative AI. But then we asked a specific question on how effective were OSPOs in managing AI risks. And we found that 69% were rated like they were effective. And we compared to last year, that was only, well, it was also a big chunk of people, like 65%, but that percentage has increased from last year to past year, which can mean that perhaps we need further analysis on that, but perhaps more OSPOs are taking actions in these areas, or we are starting to see the outcomes of having these OSPOs being in managing AI risk and compliance. And also this, well, I will start this later, but it's also will be also nice to see like what is the impact on OSPOs, not just on generative AI risk, but how well are they providing advice to the evolving landscape of open source AI and models and systems that are coming in. I'm just sharing a few open source models, agentic, and also frameworks like the model openness frameworks and licenses that are coming in just a period of months, and they are are changing and evolving, and this is all about open source. And it will be interesting to know, well, like, how are OSPOs getting involved in the conversation on AI strategy in the organization beyond compliance and risk. That is something that we will need to explore further in the upcoming years, maybe. And finally, we also analyze what is the impact on the OSPO in having industry influence on the open source projects. And we found that 85% of organizations gain increased influence with open source ecosystems for having an OSPO. And I think that makes sense, right? Because it's the main nature of the OSPO. Building engagements with the open source ecosystem, not just within the organization. And now that we are here, I also wanted to share the Eurostat report. This image that you're seeing, that sees the different layers where the digital infrastructure relies on. I think it had a lot of impact when it came out a few months ago. And I would like also to connect with the open source ecosystem, because I feel, and when I was talking with organizations, I noticed that many organizations, yes, they're investing a lot in AI and ML strategy, but they don't see the connection with open source. They saw the Eurostat report and they were like, yes, we need to be, now that we are in Europe, we need to be more autonomous and how to make that happen. But they don't think about open source as the big picture, where most of those infrastructure relies in open source, and most of the big players that are leading in these sectors are engaging in open source. So this is something to think about. I'm not telling this to you because you are already open source professionals and experts that knows this well, but this is a challenge, I feel, for many OSPOers to share this to executive and decision makers in the organization, but something to think about. And another area that we explore this year in collaboration with Curious, that is an OSPO community for academia and research centers, was about academic OSPOs. It was really interesting to see and to explore that the respondents from academic OSPOs from universities that answered this survey said that 38% of them were reported into research centers, and they also reported improved open source skills as their top impact that these OSPOs were bringing to these research centers and universities. This sample size was a bit small, but also I will say there are not so many universities OSPOs established, so it was a bit challenging. But we really look forward to keep collaborating with Curious and deep dive more into further studies in the upcoming years on what is the status of academic OSPOs, which are sometimes so different from the corporate world, for instance. And this is just the appetizer. I would love to share more details with you. We also, for instance, explore how there were some layoffs in the past year, not just for OSPOs, but in organizations that impacted many OSPOs. Many OSPOs were laid off. So we also explore this in this survey, and is also included in the final report for you to take a look on. Okay, why was the OSPO dissolved? Was it turned into a different team? Was it completely dissolved? How that impacted the organization? Was it a bad thing, a good thing? They don't know. So that was also another section really interesting, and many other areas. So again, the survey is already, the report is already live. You can scan the QR code or go to the Linux Foundation Research OSPO 2025 link. wanted to mention that we will be discussing this further as a Birds of a Feather format tomorrow, Tuesday, at 11:55, with the TODO steering committee, with some of the TODO steering committee members. I think I see someone here, maybe not. I saw someone from the steering committee and wanted to point them out, but you can already share your questions or share your ideas if you want to participate, to see different perspective and discuss further about this, or about the state of the OSPO, or about the evolution, or where are we going. Like any kind of topic is more than welcome. And another thing I wanted to bring to you to this keynote was one of the amazing efforts that the TODO group community has been doing over the past year. So for those who are not aware about TODO group, we are an open source community of practice. We have been developing open source management best practices, frameworks, definitions through the OSPO, through open source program office, and elevate that profession in the organizations. And one of the latest resources they have developed is the OSPO book. We released the first version, digital version, last year, and finally we have a printed copy here. Once we finish with this talk, you are more than welcome to take one. We had more than 20 people from the community sharing their knowledge. It's extensive knowledge on how to build an OSPO, what is the role of the OSPO, how has this been evolving. There are some use cases at the end, really nice, of specific organizations. There are also how to apply this to your organization section on each of the chapters. We have been collaborating with other communities to build specific chapters. For instance, the latest releases are a security chapter done by the Open Source Security Foundation representatives, and also from the Chaos on community health metrics. Metrics for your OSPO, that is another chapter. We are working with Inner Source Commons to have a chapter about inner source. This is a living document. This is the first printed version, but this is not the final one. So this is a call for you to help if you want to grow the chapters, the use cases of these books, and to evolve together. You can take a look at the PDF there, but also you can bring your copy with you today. This is to mention that we are having specific chapters collaborating with the different communities to grow the expertise. And also big kudos to our contributors and also to the technical reviewers that has been putting together this nice layout and design of the OSPO book printed copy, Alice, Fernando, and Jen. I think Alice is somewhere here at the conference. Fernando and Jen, not sure if they made it, but if you, oh yeah, you're here. There is one of the master of the, yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, that's all. And there are many ways to get involved into the group. If as an organization, but also as an individual, we have working groups that everyone can participate in working group. You don't need to be a Linux Foundation member to contribute to a working group. The OSPO book is part of a working group, and you're more than welcome to join. You can also be an ambassador if you have been doing meaningful contributions to the community. And of course, we also have membership for those organizations who want to support these efforts. And I think that's all for my session. I think I was really quick because I thought I had only 10 minutes, to be honest. And I realized that I had 30 minutes just 5 minutes before joining. So if you have any questions, I think we have plenty of time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You have a breakdown by regions, the results, like Europe compared to Asia to US?
Yes. So I can go really quick. So in the report, so you can do this as well, there is a demographic section, methodology, demographics here. So this year, so we had 38% of organizations came from Europe, 39% from Americas, 16% from Asia Pacific, and 7% rest of the world. That was the sample size. But yeah, you can check company size, type of organization, so 21% end user, 35% vendor, 22% consultant, 23% government, foundation, academic, and other. And all this data is public, it's open. It's in the Linux Foundation data.org profile, so you can download all the raw data, the survey instrument, and other artifacts for you to replicate the same report. And if you see something that is missing, please feel free to open an issue on the TODO GitHub repo, where we are also storing all this content. And I hope this answers to your question.
Yeah, so I have to dive into the data to get the results per.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any catalog to look through so that based on the country you're coming from, find the companies or personals that are involved in the OSPO thing, so that you can contact them?
So we need to improve our audience journey for you to get that. We have an ambassador program, and ambassadors are building local OSPO communities. So by connecting with those ambassadors, that is in our TODO website, there is a section called ambassadors. They have direct link to those local communities and the people, the ambassadors that are part of those communities. So for instance, we have a great a great team from Japan, and they are meeting bi-weekly on OSPO meetups. We also have OSPO meetup from different European countries. I want also to, for instance, I don't know where are you based? Switzerland. Okay, we used to have a Switzerland local community, but unfortunately the person leading those efforts were stepped out. So even though we don't have a specific Switzerland local meetup, there are many initiatives going on in Europe. For instance, we have Ospology local meetups that we try to have that in different regions. The next one will be in Lyon by RTE France. This is going to be in November, 5-6 of November. And if you're interested, we already have open seats available. And it's 2 days workshops where we are getting a lot of communities that are working in open source to come together, build resources together, and learn about how to set up OSPOs. This one is more focused in the energy sector, but we are also bringing other industry players, so the OSPOs from Europe that are explaining how they did in their organizations to build an OSPO. So you're more. It's also in the TODO website, and you're more than welcome to join.